Come on.
I'm only kidding. You might be looking at me wondering, is that the love child of Barbara Streisand and Barry Manilow? I'm not. I can't be because I'm almost their age. I'm taking her on the road also. I can't be. I'm almost their age. And I'm a retired school teacher myself. I taught in a really tough school, and what he said was that he's seen teachers with pens. I've seen kids with pens. I mean, when we were young, we used to carve our sweetheart's name in the desk. These kids carved their sweetheart's name in their sweetheart. And we used to read the Dick and Jane books. Nobody in here is as old as me. You remember that? And they went like this: run, spot, run, see, spot, run, run, Dick, run, Dick, run. This is how I had to teach my kids how to read. Run, spot, run. Dick's got a gun. Spot is a pit bull. Run, teacher, run. And those were the 10th graders. I mean, really tough. Like, the mayor used to say everything was a teachable moment, no matter what happened in the room. So I remember breaking up a fight, and this kid goes like this: "He choked me terrible." I said, "Stop. You're using your adverbs incorrectly. He choked you terribly." And they never gave us money for supplies where I taught. So when I was teaching measurement, I had to go home and bring in my bathroom scale, my Weight Watchers scale, and my cocaine scale. I'm only kidding. I never went to Weight Watchers. But you never see that little tray on top of the scale they have? You can put a banana split in there with a lot of fudge and whipped cream and cherries. But you know this thing about the president wants us all to have a gun, like he was talking about. And if I had a gun, I'd get a participation trophy if I was a good shot or not. Get it? Participation trophies, for those who don't know, is every kid gets an award just for showing up at school. So then the joke would be, I'd get a participation trophy if I was a good shot or not. But those participation trophies, I'm glad that I don't teach anymore, because the only time I would have used one of those is when on my honeymoon. I'll explain why. I had 2 honeymoons, as a matter of fact. I mean, they participated, but very little was accomplished. First, I was married to a Jewish guy, and I'm Jewish, so we had, we had New Year's and one New Year. But then I was married to a Chinese guy, and we had 3 New Years. First, you have the American New Year, and you have fireworks. And then you have the Chinese New Year, fireworks. But then the Jewish New Year, the only time you have the fireworks is if you eat my Aunt Esther's gefilte fish with a lot of horseradish, and then you have fireworks. But people say, what's the difference between being married to a Jewish guy and a Chinese guy? I say, very little difference. They're both cheap and drive terribly. So, one thing I do regret is not being married to the Jewish guy anymore. I'll tell you why. Because once in a blue moon, Hanukkah and Thanksgiving come out on the same exact night. And in those times, my mother-in-law would only eat over once. I'm going to take this one with me. She's laughing at everything. So now I'm single, so I go on these dates, and I meet this guy. He's from Brooklyn. He's from Bragg Street, Brooklyn. Anybody from Brooklyn here? Woo! Well, if you ever heard of Bragg Street, this guy should not have been from Bragg Street because he had very little to brag about. But around the corner is Knapp Street. I think that would have been a better place for him. I'll explain why. On his singles ad, it said, loves long hikes. Hello? When we went to your house, you pressed the elevator to go up 1 flight. And anyway, why is he showing me his singles ads when I met him on a blind date? And another guy I met in Brooklyn, his ad said, loves romantic horse and buggy rides. You're not Amish, you live in Sheepshead Bay. What horse and buggy are you seeing around here? So I am proud to say, besides writing jokes for Joan Rivers, I'm very proud that I was at Woodstock, and 50 years later I was at the desert trip out in Coachella, California. 50 years later. But who should really be proud is Mick Jagger and Paul McCartney and The Who and Bob Dylan. All these stars actually performed at both places, but they were a little different 50 years later. I'll give you an example. Mick Jagger was singing Satisfaction, and he gets to the middle part, and he goes like this. I said, no, Mick Jagger. I stood up. I raised my hand in front of thousands of people. I stood up. I said, I paid a lot of money to come out here to California and be in this festival. You sing Satisfaction to me. And like in Woodstock, there's a famous part of the movie, you might remember, nobody. And Arlo Guthrie was on the stage and he went, "The freeway's closed, man." And everyone got out of their cars and walked through the mud to the concert. Well, in Coachella, the same thing happened. We had to park our vans, press the button, let the wheelchairs come down. And there was a tent at Woodstock, and it was for bad acid trips. The tent at Coachella was for bad acid indigestion. 3 people lost their virginity at Woodstock. 3 people lost their dentures at Coachella, and they had each other's dentures. Any questions at all? I thought I was still teaching, sorry. I'm getting older, getting a little older. Anybody else getting older but me? Thank you. I try to have a positive attitude. Like, for example, I have these varicose veins. I changed the name. I call them the Google Roadmap to Adventure. This road takes you to the Sterling Forest. I'll break that down to you young girls. To the Brazilian Silver Lake I have going on. And this road takes you to the Dead Sea. That you can figure out too. And you know, I'm losing my hair, but I know where it's going. It's going to my knuckles. And every day you see something new. Like one day I see these lines, I call them exclamation points. And then here, these lines go this way, call them pound signs. So I got pound signs, exclamation points, and now I have parentheses. I'll just lay down, you can send a text message on me. So when you get old, like I say, you're either depressed or you have to have a sense of humor about it. Yeah, don't feel sorry. I get to do comedy with it. So, and I just wanted to end with this story about going to the nail salon. You ladies go to the nail salon? Where are the nail salon ladies from where you go? Do you know where they're from?
Korea.
Well, I don't think mine are from Korea because I'll tell you why. They have 30 forms of torture when I go. 30 forms of torture, and how do I know? I count them. And I said to them once, I said, I didn't burn down your village. I fought against the war in Vietnam. I picketed. Why are you torturing me like this? I didn't come with a helicopter and bomb your village. You know, do this to your people. Why are you doing that? They have 2 people doing your hands at one time, and they put you on this throne that has a vibrating machine, and they have your legs, and then they chop your toenail, they shave it, and it hurts like hell, and then they tip this Agent Orange down your finger, and it burns like hell, and then they put on the napalm on your hand, and that's how I know I think they're from Vietnam. Well, thank you very much.